I never imagined that a simple family barbecue could unravel everything I held dear. But here I am, standing in the backyard like a ghost, haunting my own life. It was a blistering Saturday afternoon, the scent of burgers sizzling on the grill wafting through the air, mingling with the sickly sweet aroma of sunscreen, while laughter from my sisters and their families echoed around me like a cruel symphony. But that laughter felt sharp, like a dagger aimed straight at my heart, especially when I caught sight of Tara and Jill, flaunting their bodies in flashy swimwear, their husbands Mark and Steve lounging with beers in hand, acting as if they owned this place. I arrived late, my stomach twisting with anxiety, a familiar foe whenever I faced my sisters, but nothing could prepare me for the onslaught of barbed comments that awaited me. "Look who finally decided to grace us with her presence," Tara sneered, her words dripping with disdain, as Jill added, "You could at least pretend to care, Lizzy." I tried to laugh it off, but inside a storm brewed. My heart raced as the cocktail of anger and hurt swirled violently, threatening to spill over. They had no clue how hard I worked to maintain my precious vacation home, a sanctuary I cherished more than anything, especially after our parents had insisted on managing it for years. But I had drawn a line when they demanded access to the house, as if I owed them something just because we shared blood. How could they not see the years of toil I'd put into it? "You know we could really use that place for a family getaway." Jill's voice dripped with entitlement. "It's only fair since you don't use it all the time." I shook my head, feeling the weight of their expectations suffocating me. It's mine, and I don't want anyone using it without my permission. The argument escalated quickly, more than I ever anticipated, especially when the kids, emboldened by their parents' drunkenness, thought it would be hilarious to shove me into the pool. I stumbled back, catching a glimpse of Tara's smug grin, but in a twist of ironic fate, her own children lost their balance and tumbled in after me. Chaos erupted as the parents, too intoxicated to help, screamed at me as if I were the villain here, their shouts mingling with the splashes of water. "You could have saved them, Lizzy," Mark yelled, his face a furious shade of crimson, and I stood there, a mix of shock and rage bubbling just beneath the surface. We left shortly after that, my husband Ryan gripping my hand tightly as we made our way to the car, the tension between us thick enough to slice through. Exhaustion washed over me, replaying the day in my mind, feeling like the villain in a story where I was merely trying to protect what was mine. But the drama didn't end there. The next morning, my phone buzzed incessantly with messages from Tara and Jill, demanding I cover the costs of their water-damaged iPhones. I felt my blood boil. They had no shame, no sense of responsibility for their actions, and I was done. "I'm not paying for anything," I shot back, a cold determination settling in my chest. "You should have watched your kids." That response ignited a firestorm. My sisters bombarded me with accusations, their husbands joining in, trying to manipulate me into feeling guilty, as if my refusal to be a doormat was the real issue. "You're tearing the family apart," Steve bellowed, the irony of his words thick in the air, and I felt the weight of their entitlement pressing down on me. It all came to a head when I discovered they had been secretly renting out my vacation home for profit, a betrayal that felt like a knife twisting in my gut, a violation of trust I never expected. When I confronted them, my heart raced, adrenaline coursing through my veins as I demanded they stop exploiting my property. The fallout was immediate and explosive. "You have no right to be mad, it's just business." Jill spat, her eyes narrowing, revealing the ugly side of her entitlement, and in that moment, I knew I had to cut ties. I told them they were no longer welcome at the house, their faces a mixture of shock and fury, as they realized I meant every word. A strange sense of liberation washed over me, but it was short-lived. The following weekend, a call from the police shattered my newfound freedom. Tara and Jill's husbands had broken into the vacation home, trashing the place in a drunken stupor, and I felt a sickening churn in my stomach as the reality set in. "They're going to be arrested, Lizzy," the officer said, disbelief lacing his voice, as if this absurdity couldn't possibly be true. When I learned they were charged with breaking and entering, a mix of anger and vindication surged through me. They had crossed a line, and I wasn't about to let it slide. "You brought this on yourselves," I told them during a tense confrontation, their shame masked by defiance as they stood in my living room, surveying the damage they had caused. The atmosphere thickened with regret and accusations, but there was a moment when Mark finally broke down, his bravado crumbling away. "I'm sorry, Lizzy," he muttered, his voice shaky. "We didn't think it would come to this." It was a strange apology, layered with guilt and desperation, and in that moment I felt a flicker of empathy, even as I clung to my anger like a lifeline. "You need to pay for the damages," I stated firmly, and they reluctantly agreed, the tension hanging heavy between us like a dark cloud. Afterward, I felt utterly drained, like I had fought a battle and come out with scars rather than trophies. But I accepted their settlement with a heavy heart. The relief was bittersweet, the victory overshadowed by the realization that my family would never be the same again. A chasm of betrayal now lay between us. I imposed strict no-contact terms, drawing a line in the sand, but I could still feel the weight of those fractured relationships pressing down on me, a constant reminder of the chaos. Even as I returned to my life with Ryan, I realized the emotional scars would linger, haunting me like shadows in the night. I looked out at the sunset from my vacation home, the colors vibrant yet tainted by the memories of betrayal and heartache that clung to me like a second skin. I knew I had made the right decision, but part of me mourned the sisterhood I once cherished, now reduced to echoes of laughter and accusations, a painful reminder of what once was. In the end, I had chosen myself, but the cost was steep. As I closed the door on that chapter of my life, I couldn't help but wonder if peace was ever truly attainable, or if I would forever be haunted by the ghosts of my past. Thank you for watching. For more real stories and powerful dramas, be sure to like, subscribe, and explore our Twisted Ancestry channel. If you enjoyed this video, please consider supporting us and transforming your love life with the Make Him Worship You program, linked in the description. It's a game changer for any woman seeking the love she truly deserves.